Well, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
The fairy tale is complete. The Central Coast Mariners, champions of Australia.
And a very good afternoon to one and all. Suncorp Stadium welcomes two teams who could really do with the boost of 3 points today. For Brisbane Roar, home comforts have been hard to find, having won only once here since November. As for Melbourne Victory, a frustrating setback against the Central Coast Mariners last week, along with a procession of draws, leaves them on the fringes of the premiership race. Their last 4 matches have produced just 2 goals, both scored in stoppage time against Western United. Is their reliance on Bruno Fornaroli becoming something of a burden? However, Victory are aiming to equal a club record of 11 away matches unbeaten today. So that is the size of the task facing Brisbane Roar, although the Roar haven't lost any of the last 5 meetings between the two clubs. And if Ruben Zakovic's team are to make the finals, then they really need to start closing the gap on the top 6. So here they come on a rather warm afternoon, as is normally the case in the Sunshine State. We will have drinks breaks in either half to cope with the temperatures. And we're getting to that point of the season where the heat is really on, as the makeup of the top 6 starts to take shape. Brisbane rated the slight favourites, not by much, to take the 3 points. And they could really do with a victory. Starting the day, 6 points behind the Wanderers in 6th spot. Let's have a look at the team news. A couple of changes for Brisbane from the 11 that drew with Western United here last week. Jay O'Shea has been suffering with a calf injury and is benched, along with Nikola Miljuznic. Joe Coletti is back in midfield. It's his 50th appearance for the Roar across 2 spells. And Marco Rojas makes his first start for the Roar against one of his former clubs. Tommy Waddingham has 4 goals in his last 3 matches. Louis Zabala is back on the bench, his first involvement in almost a month. Scott Neville is out for the season after tearing his ACL. A couple of changes for the Victory as well. Roderick Miranda, of course, is suspended after his red card against the Mariners last week. So Connor Chapman moves centrally. Jason Guerrier returns to right back. And Adama Traore is back after a 3-game absence at left back. Further forward, Jake Brimmer makes his first start in a month as Fabian Monge is benched. Brimmer also wears the captain's armband in Miranda's absence. And new signing Rolly Bonavaccia is among the Victory substitutes. Match referee today is Daniel Elder, the South Australian, fast closing in on a century of A-League appointments. The 2 skippers, Tommy Aldred of Brisbane, and captain for the day for Victory, Jake Brimmer, on his return to the starting 11. And that is how it stands. Wellington Phoenix have defeated Adelaide United by 3-1 in the early fixture across the ditch in New Zealand. So they return to the top of the Isuzu Ute A-League men's standings. Victory in 4th, now 9 points behind, and Brisbane, as you can see, 6 points adrift of that final playoff spot. It's not the biggest crowd inside Suncorp Stadium, but they're going to try and make some noise on behalf of their team. And they need them at this venue. Just 4 wins here this season. And you can add to those 4 wins 3 draws, 3 losses. It's a bit of a mixed return. They want to make this place a fortress as it used to be back in the days of Ange Postecoglou. Today, of course, it's Ruben Zakovic in the technical zone. He's steadied the ship somewhat since taking over from the incapacitated Ben Khan. And reports from Queensland this week suggest he is close to getting the job permanently as the club plan for next season. Tony Popovic, meantime, returning to the scene of one of his big grand final disappointments. It was 10 years ago his Wanderers team were edged out by Brisbane in that title decider. We're going to see a goal from Bruno Fornaroli today, without one since he arrived back from Asian Cup duty with the Socceroos. 3 matches without a goal represents his joint worst spell of the campaign. So it is the final match of the weekend, and one that has significant bearing on the top six. Can Brisbane find some form at home, or can victory maintain the rage on the road, Andy Harper?
Good afternoon, Simon, and to everybody who's tuned in for this very important game, the key juncture of the season, turning for the finish line and victories. Season which hasn't faltered necessarily, but it certainly has been stuck in neutral, you'd have to say. Inability to kick clear, but they're still there or thereabouts. And would want to win to put some breathing space between them and the shadow of Sydney, which is looming after that awesome performance last night in the derby, and make sure that Wellington and Central Coast just don't sail completely clear. Brisbane, of course, particularly with coach Ruben Zatkovich staking a claim for the job, need to keep their finals aspirations alive. This is a really important game.
Sent long by Adama Traore, back in the victory starting 11 today. And now having to turn and give chase along with Connor Chapman to keep tabs on Tommy Waddingham. It's a foul by Hingett. Sonny and Khalifi making consecutive starts for the first time in a victory jumper. And this is Adama Traore, who used to play the old M1 derbies against Brisbane during his Gold Coast United days. 11 years ago this week, Gold Coast United were expelled from the competition. Thoughts of what might have been in southeast Queensland for the derby days that promised so much in the early days, Andy.
Well, you've just given words to what a lot of people started contemplating as you've cited the Gold Coast experience. It's certainly where my mind went. Just imagine 10 years, you'd like to think of growth since where that might have been, but of course significant issues at the time with the then owner of Gold Coast made the relationship apparently untenable. The game has been a little bit nervous about moving back there.
Here's Jack Hingett, who clocked up 250 games for Brisbane last week against Western United, winning the throw.
And so moving back there at an A-League level, of course, the two Queensland NPL teams down there, Gold Coast United and the Gold Coast Knights, are still serving the game very, very well. But you do just wonder, don't you?
De Silva. Out for Jason Guerrier, restored to his preferred flank today. Corneroli couldn't keep hold of it. Henry Hoare nipping in, again playing in that more central role today for Brisbane that he operated in against Western last week. This is Keegan Jelicic. And now Florent Berenguer. Opens up nicely for Brisbane on the left-hand side. They played through that little victory press quite well. It's Anthony Burke-Gilroy. He'll square it up for Jelicic. Beyond him is Hingett, who will cross. It was behind Waddingham. And victory able to get out quite comfortably. There was a foul on Brimmer, but good advantage played by Daniel Elder. Maybe victory won't think so, because they've now turned the ball over through Zinedine Mashash. And Raw are back on the attack. Burke-Gilroy to Florent Berenguer, who played in 11 Melbourne derbies against victory for City and lost only 2 of those. Henry Hoare and Coletti. Good little spell of possession for Brisbane. They've won just 2 of their last 12 A-League men's matches. That's a big win against Melbourne City here, and a home win against the Newcastle Jets. victory for their part, just the one win in the last 8, although 5 of those 8 have been draws. Solitary victory coming deep in stoppage time thanks to this man Damien De Silva with those 2 late goals.
I mean, that is an incredible run when you look at the table, and Victory is still on 4th, a point off 3rd, and they haven't really been able to crack it for any wins. It just goes to show how many of the teams have struggled to get consistent form going. It keeps things very clustered. Central Coast and Wellington aside, and Sydney's form over the last number of weeks, of course, is a bit of a headline, but they've started from back in the pack. Really remarkable.
It's going to be a corner off Burke Gilroy. Daniel Arzani applauding the release from Damien De Silva. So first test for Macklin Freak, perhaps. Brisbane have conceded 11 headed goals so far this season. Only Western United with 12 have conceded more. Let's see if Victory tests them out via the aerial routes. Ryan Teague standing by to deliver. Players scatter, and Chapman went for it. It was De Silva who got a nod on towards goal. Victory will try and reset, but it's pinched away by Burke Gilroy, who's showing good speed across the ground. He's got Marco Rojas central if he can find him, but he wasn't able to. Good break for the Raw, but without the desired finish.
Well, it was a great burst from Burke Gilroy, but he really showed a lack of awareness to really nail that opportunity. I mean, he burnt Jake Brimmer. He is fast across the ground, Burke Gilroy. And with that advantage he'd created for himself in this very quick opportunity, he completely underutilised what was in front of him.
Now Arzani's ball in was an awkward one. It had wicked dip on it towards that near post, and Tom Aldred almost had to bend himself in 2 to try and get a piece of it.
Yeah, under the close attention of Bruno Fornaroli arriving at that near post.
It's caused a spot of bother. Yeah, trying to contort the muscles into a rather odd shape. Has left him a little bit sore. Arzani's cross. And Aldred under serious pressure from Bruno Fornaroli. Looks to be okay. The Raw captain. Victory haven't won at Suncorp since October 2019. 1-0 win on that day, courtesy of an Andrew Naboot goal. No win of any kind against Brisbane since November 2021. And they won 3-0 at Amy Park. It's 5 meetings ago. This is Hall. Touch off by Jelicic and work wide by Coletti for Hingert. Rather telegraphed that one straight at Connor Chapman. Zinedine Mashash is on the charge for Victory. Finds Daniel Arzani who hits it, and it had a bit of dip on it. It was an awkward save for Macklin Freak to make, but he made it comfortably. First real work for either goalkeeper.
Yeah, it's nice from Arzani. A really useful touch inside. The volley was crisp. Good burst from Zinedine Mashash.
Macklin Freak looking to keep just his 3rd clean sheet of the season, none in his last 11. This is Damien De Silva. Shash can't wriggle clear of Kai Truin. And Joe Coletti comes away with the ball. Square of him is Henry Hall. Brisbane looking to move into position down the right through Hingert. And further in advance is Keegan Jelicic. Looking to float the cross in, but Ryan Teague in the way. Aldred. Berenguer. And Connor Chapman just getting a touch too tight. Former Brisbane Roar player, of course. Famously had that big bust-up with Charlie Austin, didn't he? On the A-League's All Access programme. Just regular dressing room fodder. Chapman's foul gives Brisbane this free kick. Victory with the high defensive line. It will drop now as Berenguer delivers. And Teague flicks it behind for a corner.
Well, good work. Right, you're not really to know if the big bruising Tommy Aldred is going to bear down on your blindside shoulder to try and head that towards goal. Maybe he's not feeling that up for it at the moment after that knock to the midriff, the Brisbane skipper.
Well, Tom Aldred is in position for this corner, which Berenguer is about to deliver in front of the Victory travelling fans towards the near post of Shash. Got it out of harm's way. He ever scored 2 goals, Tom Aldred, for Brisbane Roar in 96 games. His last was against Perth over a year ago now. Seems pretty slim pickings from my vantage point, given his aerial threat. Nice feet from Keegan Jelicic. Roar trying to pick up the pace a bit here. Berenguer. Henry Hoare available, top of the box. Gets rid of one defender and fires over the top.
Victory's defending, Simon, to me, just as a little sluggish. Henry Hoare skipped away nicely and might have made more of that shot. I mean, this is a typically cloistery afternoon of football in Brisbane. It's 30-odd degrees. It's relatively high humidity, 60% and climbing. It's tough, and the Victory players are looking like it's tough. They're breaking quite freely, and you sort of can when you steel your mind. But the rest of the time, when you've got to be sharp all the time around the box, there's an economy of the way the Melbourne Victory players are moving. I'm not quite sure it's going to serve them that well if they're not careful.
Here's Coletti delivering from deep, brought down nicely by Berenguer. Just wriggled away from him.
It's a big advantage, of course, Brisbane, in these conditions. It should be, at least. They live and train in it, completely acclimatised, and different for the clubs, the very different climates around Australia. It's a big advantage for Brisbane if they're prepared to grab hold of it.
Teague. It's the right idea, that little manoeuvre to try and thread in Khalifi behind the Brisbane defence. This is Truin. Oh, he's given it away rather carelessly. Here's Jake Brimmer. Thought about the shot, perhaps. Geria alert to the possibility of that 50-50. Brisbane living dangerously for a moment, but now they'll get some respite. Foul on Joe Coletti. Jelicic. Gilroy looking for Rojas. Oh, it's a heavy tackle from Jason Geria, and Rojas felt that. Former teammates, of course. And they get the afternoon's first yellow card. And I don't think Jason Geria can have too many complaints.
No, I don't think so. He's thundered in there. It's very much a yellow card. Situation might have been avoided had Jelicic hit Rojas with the first passing option, which would have actually given Brisbane some attacking momentum.
Jason Geria's, sorry Andy, for 4th yellow card of the season. Jason Guerrier playing his 167th victory game today. He joins Adrian Leia in third place on the all-time list for games played for victory. This is Rojas. Former victory favourite, of course, but he's left the ball behind. Mashash almost did likewise. De Silva. Guerrier. Now Arzani in position perhaps to run at the fullback or cross early. Did that take a touch off the head of Tom Aldred's? Daniel Elder says yes.
Well, again, it's been the story of the season. Daniel Arzani's start to the match is very dangerous. This is the second really difficult cross he's hit in. Difficult from a Brisbane defensive viewpoint. And he's had that volley on goal saved well by Macklin Freak. Yeah, the start to his games this season, I'd say pretty much every week, Simon, has been excellent from Daniel Arzani. And can Victory capitalise on that advantage that he gives them?
Let's see what Jack Brimmer can deliver from this corner. Low and flat. And safely seen out by Brisbane for a throw. Mentioned that 5-game winless streak that Victory have against Brisbane, by the way. Scored a goal now against the Raw in over 5 hours of football. Since Brendan Hamill scored against them in April 2022. Arzani. Just run out of real estate. Let's go down and say good afternoon to Amy Chapman.
Good afternoon, team, and it has started with a great tempo down here in this 30 degrees heat that Harb's touched on. It's good tempo, lively start. Still, we do have drinks breaks confirmed as well because of this heat, and there is still a high chance of it actually getting a bit of rainfall as well, so expect a little bit of that to change the tempo as well.
Thanks, Amy. Check in with you a little bit later on. Here's Kai Truin. Easily read by De Silva, and then Brimmer. His pocket pinched by Marco Rojas. Henry Hoare. Coletti. Edging forward is Tom Aldred, or at least he was for a moment. Rather needless giveaway from the Raw skipper. Chapman and Brimmer for De Silva. It's all rather tentative at the moment from both teams. Back for Paul Izzo. Teague. Brisbane looking to apply the high press. Look how deep Bruno Fornaroli is, which is a fair indication of that. Chapman looking for the out ball, can only find the stands. Which is diligent work by Brisbane.
Yeah. And again, it's, you know, these are the telltale signs of the conditions being that very important third wheel in the consideration.
Coletti driven back by Ryan Teague. Truin. Burke Gilroy. The part of the pitch that remains a little bumpy. Coletti. Aldred. And Jelicic. Kai Truin. trying to pick his way through. Did well, the central defender. Although that's probably doing him a bit of a disservice. Is the ultimate utility for Brisbane Roar. Left back, right back, centre back, midfield. He's played the lot. Here's Ruben Zatkovic's Lee Broxham, if you like. That's offside. Talking of Broxy, only Broxham on the bench today for Victory. Used very sparingly this season.
But he's still part of the furniture.
He is.
He'll still contribute, I'm sure, if needed. Decent bench. The disposal of Tony Popovic today for Melbourne Victory. A couple of internationals. Aspiring internationals, and the return to the A-League on match day of Rolly Bonavazia.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing Rolly again. Ended his odyssey in the Gulf region, where no doubt he made a few dollars. Hingert. Just got the slightest of nudges from Ryan Teague. Jack Hingert looking forward to making his international debut for Sri Lanka later this month in that 4-team tournament. This goes to show you, Harps, even at the age of 33, which Jack is, you can still have new experiences in football.
Yeah, it'll be a great journey for Jack. Very happy for him. The only question that comes to mind is what Sri Lanka have been waiting for.
It's a touch through, which is beautiful for Tommy Waddingham, who's through one-on-one. Izzo makes the save, but cannot prevent the follow-up, and Marco Rojas scores against his old club. No big celebration. He almost apologises to the travelling Victory fans, but Brisbane lead, and Marco Rojas, scorer of so many goals in navy blue, now has his first in orange.
Well, on the Harvey Norman replay, it's almost the accidental hero for Brisbane, apologetically acknowledging the Victory fans after Tommy Waddingham's opportunity evaporated with a heavy first touch off his shin. Izzo sees that one away, but the rebound falls to Marco Rojas. And he very, very calmly lobs the ball with his forehead over the hapless Connor Chapman.
That's his first goal in the competition since scoring for Victory against Wellington Phoenix. Another one of his former clubs back in April 2022. Goal number 42, all told, in 145 games. But you can see the respect that he clearly still has for his former employers in the lack of celebrations of that goal. So the Roar find the breakthrough. And as we know, Andy, goals have been an issue for Melbourne Victory, so double set of problems now for Tony Popovic. They've only scored in one game out of the last 4. And that was that late double for Damien De Silva that won the points against Western.
Yeah, the finishing has been poor. They've lacked conviction and confidence. They've been in plenty of goal-scoring opportunities, and get to that stage where you've just got to keep plugging away and believing it will turn. In the meantime, you can't afford to be coughing goals up. So they've got a lot of work to do here today, and the advantage, not just on the scoreboard, but to repeat, is most certainly with Brisbane, given the conditions here.
Maybe something brewing here. The comeback from Mashash. Nobody there though for Victory. Rojas gets out of a sticky little spot and then Henry Hoare dispossessed briefly. One back by Tommy Waddingham for the Roar. And the rebound favours Jack Hingett here. It's a catalogue of errors that led to Hingett being in that position. Traore's ball only finding the head of Anthony Burke-Gilroy. Safely back to Macklin Freak. Ruben Zakovic will know there's still a long way to go. This team has the worst defence in the competition with 42 goals conceded, but they've made first base, which is the drinks break, with a lead given to them by the former Melbourne Victory favourite. And in a game of few chances, Ruben Zakovic will be glad of that.
Yeah, they've had a couple of sighters, Melbourne Victory, and that should encourage them, and it should keep Brisbane on edge, because they've got the lead. They haven't really looked like breaking away from Victory and trying to show that they are comfortable at home in very, very sultry weather conditions. But this is the moment which separates the teams. Again, the Victory just not covering that space. There's a lot of very sluggish defending in midfield, and I thought they got away with it because of Tommy Waddingham's heavy first touch. It's a very good left hand from Paul Izzo and his foot to block that first chance, and Marco Rojas was on the spot to capitalise. And if you're watching this from a Brisbane viewpoint, you're thinking we can really ram this home if we've got it in us, and that's the question.
There's the man of the moment, 32 years of age now, and if you believe the rumours, he's off back to New Zealand next season to feature for the new Auckland franchise. But for the time being, he is Brisbane Roar's man. And he's got the goal that matters at the moment. Nicely controlled by Rojas. It's always been a real feature of his game. Pity the pass didn't match it. Berenguer, Rojas again. Berenguer heading the wrong way, and he's been dispossessed by Mashash. Clipped in field by Fornaroli. De Silva will carry it forward. Wide right is Jason Guerrier. Beyond him is Arzani. Nice movement this from Victory. Not a bad ball in either, but seen out by Hingett. Further clear by Berenguer. And now Keegan Jelicic to try and start a counter for Brisbane. It's asking a little bit too much of Tommy Waddingham. Traore. Khalifi. Teague, heavy touch. Opens the door for Brisbane again. Jelicic through the legs of Brimmer, cleverly so. Worked out for Rojas, who sidesteps Guerrier. And Marco Rojas going to drive for goal again. Out it pops for Jelicic, driven across low. Right, Berenguer, nobody there for Brisbane. Retrieved though by Hingett. Oh, and a free header, which, to be honest, Keegan Jelicic might have done a bit better with.
Much better. Much better. Two really good opportunities for Brisbane to kick clear. Not taken, not even close to being taken, really, having set things up so nicely.
Half an hour played in Brisbane. Keegan Jelicic just never really set himself properly. He was unchallenged This is Khalifi. Taken out by Hingett. Just the one real moment of alarm for Brisbane so far when Macklin Freak was forced into a decent save by Daniel Arzani. Tony Popovic will want a little bit more in the final third. Haven't really got Bruno Fornaroli into the sorts of positions where he can hurt defences. Aldred and Fornaroli told to cool it by Daniel Elder. And now we're ready for Ryan Teague's delivery. Whole line of raw players in the way. Arzani goes down a little theatrically, but there was some contact from Burke Gilroy. And hear what the Brisbane fans think of it. He was involved in all the drama last week, wasn't he, when he fouled Angel Torres and he thought he was hard done by. Now there is a push there, definitely, from Burke Gilroy. He just made sure Daniel Elder saw it.
Well, he had that set to running battle last week, didn't he? Similar sort of terms. He gets the nod on this occasion. Again, he's looking like Victory's most dangerous outlet so far, Daniel Arzani.
There's the usual football tango going on inside the penalty area as Brimmer prepares to deliver this one for Victory. Two little clusters of players who scatter now, and it goes dangerously across the face. I think it actually bounced off De Silva, and he believes he was impeded, which prevented him from getting a clean strike on the ball.
Well, he was in a wonderful position. Here's the ball in from Jake Brimmer.
Is there a suggestion of a foul there from Waddingham?
There's a suggestion. Whether it's going to be a clear and obvious error from the referee. I'm assuming that we're still working to that paradigm, clear and obvious error. Until we're told otherwise, let's assume so.
Good awareness by Guerrier to get to the loose ball first. Arzani makes tracks towards the D. Has to check back and find Guerrier, and then it's all a bit tight in there for Fornaroli. It's not quite got the legs on it for Traore. And it's routine for Macklin Freak.
Just didn't quite open up that one for Victory, did it, as Arzani's team through the middle. Mashash had broken to the left, and it never really set itself for Arzani to hit that final pass. And Brisbane's defence did very, very well to put that doubt into the Victory players' minds.
Just a fraction short, wasn't it, for Traore? Hasn't scored an A-League goal in over 10 years, Dharma Traore. Of course, he's played overseas for a big chunk of the intervening period. Aldred. That's behind Hingett, disappointingly so from Brisbane's point of view. Victory's away record this season: 1-3, drawn 7, lost 0. Their last away defeat in the A-League to the Wanderers, 2-1 in April of last year. As Mashash sees off the threat of Hingett, still going. Zinedine Mashash! Oh, it's a great goal! Super run, and the finish was even better. And Victory are level. And it's a brilliant strike from Zinedine Mashash.
Well, on the Harvey Norman replay, we're just looking at a really exciting A-League sight, and that is Mashash in full cry. He hits it nicely. It's a really positive, determined run. There have to be question marks on how open Macklin Freak left that near post. For Mashash to hit the far post at full speed from that angle would require something magical. And I think he's just overcompensated Macklin Freak, which opened the door. And he verily burst through that door to make it 1-1.
Now, you don't need to be an experienced lip reader to know what Ruben Zakovic thought of that. It's his 6th of the season. A very crisp finish. You're right that goalkeepers don't like to be beaten at their near post. Now, let's credit the attacker because it had plenty of fizz behind it. And that's the end of a little 5-game scoring drought for Zinedine Mashash. And suddenly the outlook is a little brighter for victory. Just on that long unbeaten run away from home, they will equal the club record today if they avoid defeat. Bit of defending to do here. Is Berenguer trying to link up with Tommy Waddingham. Rojas makes 3. The all-time record for away games unbeaten, by the way, is 16. Held, of course, by a great Brisbane Roar team under Ange Postecoglou. Set back in there. Double title-winning seasons of 10-11 and 11-12. No foul for Fornaroli. Ingot takes over from Jelicic. Henry Hall with a little glance over his shoulder to see where Fornaroli was. Back through Truin. Wide left is Burke Gilroy. Berenguer. Truin. Still Kai Truin. Good feet. Henry Hall. Shown back out wide by Guerrier. Brisbane still pressing. Berenguer's cross. And headed just over the top by Tommy Waddingham. That's the sort of service that he requires, the teenager.
And that's the sort of space he has either been shown to take up or he just instinctively does. It's great to see a young Aussie coming through who does take up those positions. He rose nicely to try and meet that very dangerous opportunity created by Berenguer, just not able to control that header, but a good sign.
Well, that's going to be the easiest yellow card Daniel Elder will issue this season to Henry Hall for the tug on the jersey of Mashash. Gotta wait till afterwards if you want to exchange shirts, Henry.
Yeah, and no one really wants to chase Mashash, and Henry Hall probably watching at that goal unfold thinking, Jack, if I'm you, 50 metres out from goal, I'm pulling the shirt on him. But his mistake there was the miscalculation. And he had a teammate there that very possibly could have intercepted that touch from Mashash, so he's now on that yellow card, Henry Hall.
Victory have their free kick specialist back in the team today, Jake Brimmer. Up goes the signal. Looking for the far post run. Barzani, but Jelicic flicks it out for a corner. Damien De Silva just reminding, I think, Daniel Elder that he believed he was impeded at the last corner that Victory had. Probably just saying to the ref, keep your eyes out. Players do love to get in the heads of referees, don't they? Corner in front of the den. Brimmer's delivery towards the back post. Off the head of Connor Chapman and behind for a goal kick. Goal by Zinedine Mashash. Melbourne Victory's first against Brisbane in 5 hours and 27 minutes of football. Drawn a blank on their last 3 meetings. Mashash has broken the drought. After this man, Marco Rojas, had given Brisbane the lead. Looking to tee up Florent Berenguer, but comfortable for De Silva. A little bit too high for Arzani. Coletti. It's an awkward height for Joe Coletti, and Victory have stolen it. And Brimmer to carry it forward. Fornaroli looking for the give and go with Brimmer, and then Traore deflects the ball behind for a goal kick. Let's go back down to Amy Chapman. Bit of frustration building on the Brisbane bench, I understand, Amy.
Yeah, you guys are quite spot on there. Ruben Zatkovic, obviously a former defender himself, was not impressed with the defending on that last goal for Melbourne Victory. Felt Truan and Aldred didn't cut off that angle at the near post well enough, nor did Macklin Freak. He wasn't impressed whatsoever, and he's demanding in attack a bit more intensity, a bit more energy and a bit more bravery from his Brisbane Roar side.
Thanks, Amy. Connor Chapman had to get the required distance on that. Rojas sniffing for any potential mistake. Still kicking every single ball, isn't he, Ruben Zatkovic? It's the way he played the game. Coletti. Overall, Harps, you'd say, when you look at the season so far for Brisbane, and the coaching changes clearly haven't helped, but it's been a bit of a disappointment after reaching the Australia Cup final. We thought this could be a big campaign for Brisbane. Hasn't quite happened yet. Still could, of course. Oh, Macklin Freak almost getting himself into a bit of a tangle.
Yeah, I think that's a really fair assessment. That cup run was great. The first half in the cup final was blistering. Ross Aloisi looked like he had the team heading in the right direction. And then 2 coaches later, they're on their 4th coach of the season, and the big move, the big rebirth of Brisbane seems to have been stalled. Seems to have been, we're not to know, but from the outside looking in, there was so much positivity around the Brisbane proclamations that we've hit ground zero and now we're going back, and our aim is to be back to the glory days. And of course that's a clarion call that Brisbane fans will respond to. It's just been a little bit more difficult to deliver, and of course this season is still well and truly alive for them. Let's not make any mistake about that. Guerrier
And Arzani getting their wires crossed, and they've got big personalities, haven't they, now in the technical zone? Not just Ruben Zatkovic, Chris Coyne, Frank Jurich, the goalkeeping coach.
None of them are shrinking violets.
They'll have a plan, a vision.
And a huge city and a huge football population to harness. That's the opportunity for Brisbane.
Yeah, they got the entire state to themselves. Now, Melbourne Victory have got a bit of a problem here with Paul Izzo. There's something wrong with the groin. That's my rudimentary assessment. He gives his explanation to the Victory physio, gives Tony Popovic the chance to have a chat with his players. Reserve goalkeeper today for Melbourne Victory is young Christian Siciliano, who's just 20 years of age and is yet to make his A-League debut. Sure, that is a change that Tony Popovic would be reluctant to make, but he may not have any choice. There he is, starting goalkeeper in Victory's NPL team the last couple of seasons, and he's been a regular on the bench as Izzo's number 2 this year. Is this where he's done it? Is it the hamstring or the groin?
It was a good ball.
Seemed to be in too much difficulty there, but
I think he has looked over to the bench once he's hit it. It's a beautiful strike.
goalkeeper waiting his big moment, perhaps. So looks to be okay. May well be the case that somebody else will take the goal kicks. Has had his injury concerns down the years, Paul Izzo. He's played every minute so far of this season. Had a hand problem in pre-season. And of course his former deputy is now sat on the opposition bench today for Brisbane in Matt Acton. Back on we go into first half stoppage time, of which it's going to be a minimum of 4 minutes. Might actually be a bit more than that because of that stoppage. And Brisbane anxious to retake the lead. Letty fires it out towards Burke Gilroy. Rojas coming short. Coletti. Aldred. Gets the return from Jelicic. Hingert. Coletti a bit quick towards Jelicic. Awkward one to control. Now Victory have it. Teague. Not very tight on the near touchline until Hingert commits the foul on Khalifi. How do you assess this first half, Andy?
Well, I just can't escape the fact that I think Brisbane have an advantage that they're not using. Now, this might sound harsh, doesn't diminish how difficult the conditions are, but it's certainly got to be harder for Victory than it does for Brisbane to play in this sort of heat and humidity. And they just don't really look like, at this point, that they're looking to force that point home. And Brisbane conceded a soft goal in the eyes of Ruben Zakovic. It was a well-taken one from Mashash. And they got a lot of quality, Victory, and they will punish you.
Brimmer. Fornaroli. Tied it up by Truitt.
I mean, it's just not quite 24 hours ago we saw what Sydney did with their full physical assault on the Wanderers in two teams that train in the same city. No discernible advantage for Sydney, but geez, didn't they find one? With teams going north to Brisbane, it's got to be a huge advantage to the home team, theoretically at least. Frustrating for Ruben Zakovic. See what he can do at half-time with his team.
As we head into the break, it is all square. Marco Rojas with the opener for Brisbane. After 23 minutes, muted celebrations from the former Victory player, but the lead was to last just 12 minutes. Zinedine Mashash with the equaliser, and it's all to play for in the second half at Suncorp. At the break then, Brisbane Roar 1, Melbourne Victory 1. And we're off to a break ourselves. On the other side of it, join Tara, Roy and Luke for their thoughts on the first half. Stay with us.
This year's Alex Tobin Medal is brought to you by Isuzu Ute, awarded to the best player of the season as nominated by the Paramount ANZ football team. The winner of the prestigious award will receive $10,000. Plus, the Isuzu Ute Alex Tobin medalist will nominate a junior football club of choice to win a brand new, top-of-the-range Isuzu D-Max or 7-seat MUX to be announced during the grand final. To stay in touch with the leaderboard, tune in for weekly updates at your home of football.
Well, the players are good to go for the second half. No change in terms of personnel made by either coach at the break, but both would like a change in this scoreline. A point for each would not do anything in terms of league position for either. And I guess for Melbourne Victory in particular, Andy Harper, the last thing they want is yet another draw. They've had 10 of those already this season.
Yeah, that'd be more than a passing touch of Groundhog Day for Victory. And Brisbane, of course, need the points to push them up the ladder. So as it was 45 minutes ago, there's still a lot to play for at Suncorp Stadium this afternoon.
And given the conditions, and given the fact that Brisbane Roar are the team outside the top 6 at the moment, and they're at home, I guess, as you alluded to in the first half, the onus really on the home side to make the running, particularly as they're kicking towards the Den end of the ground in the second half. Brisbane have got a trip south of the border to face Sydney FC next week, so on current form, that is a difficult away game for them. Victory have got one of their own. Original rivalry game against Adelaide United at Cooper Stadium. Sadly, Scott Neville won't be involved for Brisbane Roar next week or for the rest of the season. He's out with injury, and he's talking now with Amy Chapman. Amy.
Thanks, Simon. Yeah, and thanks to Scott Neville for joining. It's obviously tough news during the week with confirmation you've torn your ACL. Can you talk us through what happened?
Yeah, it was just an innocuous training incident, as all ACLs tend to be. And yeah, straight away I knew I'd done it, but yeah, just focusing now on the positivity side of things and having a good mentality and helping support the boys as best I can and rip into the rehab.
And this is not your first ACL, but it's been a long time. What are the next steps for you?
Yeah, it's 10 years between drinks for me now with this injury, and yeah, it's just about helping Ruben and Chris Coyne and the coaching staff, and then the players where best I can, and helping guide them and come through. You know, the season's still a lot to play for, and I'm just really hoping the boys can do well in this game and finish off the season as best as possible.
Well, good luck with your recovery. Thanks for joining us, Scotty.
Thank you very much.
Good to hear from Scott Neville with Amy Chapman. Wish him all the very best with his rehab. Long journey ahead. Awful when it happens to a professional player. Much mental as physical, as Victory looked to launch an attack. Steered away by Bert Gilroy. Settled down by Henry Hall. This is Coletti. Ball spins up into the air off the boot of Adama Traore. Teague with a cushion header. Mashash. Khalifi managed to keep pace with it, but Jelicic nipped in. Aldred. Brimmer. Eased off the ball by Keegan Jelicic. He then draws the contact and the foul. Had a really good season last year, didn't he, Keegan Jelicic, with Perth Glory, which led to his move over to Belgium with Ghent, a move which hasn't really worked out. He's on loan back in the A-League with the Raw, where he started his senior career, of course.
And then did some great work under Ruben Zatkovic at Perth. He's a talent, Keegan Jelicic, that's for sure. And we'll enjoy watching him re-establish himself as a senior footballer.
Barzani just delayed too long before releasing that ball for Fornaroli, because that passing lane was open for a moment or two.
Yeah, too right.
Aldred. Still not yet signed a new contract for Brisbane. Interesting to see if he's offered one. 33 years of age now, the Raw skipper. Got his Australian citizenship last week, I see, as well. So it won't be a visa player if he does stay with Brisbane. This is Hinger, went first time. Seen out by Chapman. Berenguer. The Frenchman with a little scoop over the top, but Jelicic lost his footing. They'll go again through Hall. Wide left is Burke Gilroy. Looking to get around the outside of Guerrier. The cross deflected into the path of Rojas. Top of the box here is Henry Hoare, encouraged to shoot. He does try and do that, but had all the sting taken out of it by Jake Brimmer. Fornaroli's job to hold the ball up here for victory, which he does really well, and then gets clipped by Burke Gilroy, and a free kick for victory.
Stock and trade for Bruno Fornaroli. This is a great chance. As the ball was coming to Henry Hoare, I was expecting him to just try and nail it first time. Taking that extra touch just closed the opportunity more than he could thereafter manage.
It's a clumsy challenge by Hingert on Khalifi, who certainly felt it. Escapes with a wag of the finger from referee Daniel Elder. Going right through the back of the Tunisian. Another foul against Brisbane. This time against Jake Brimmer. Traore. Mashash. He said to Khalifi, leave it, I'll take control, and then promptly gave the ball away. All rather frustrating for Melbourne victory. Worked into midfield for Keegan Jelicic. Aldred looking to try and pick the pace up a little bit for Brisbane. It's been a rather sleepy start to the second half. Jelicic. Bit of space here for Florent Berenguer. That's well defended by Arzani. Good use of the body.
He had him, Florent. I think he had him. As he looked to go on the outside of Arzani, and I was fully expecting Berenguer at this point to touch the ball in the inside, to the inside with his right foot. It's a move he uses quite a lot, but he misread that situation. He would have been on goal had he done that, and I think Daniel Arzani would have bought that little movement down the line. Well, he did buy it. That's what gave him the advantage to get in front and win that particular duel.
This is Ryan Teague. Going to steer it between the defenders for Fornaroli, who's frustrated that his little dart into space wasn't rewarded. Burke Gilroy instead for Brisbane. Berenguer with time to turn. And now it opens up a little bit for Keegan Jelicic, who's going to hit it. Chapman made the block. He didn't know too much about it. Effective nonetheless. Mashash. Fornaroli. Looking to steer it beyond Tom Aldred. It was the right idea. Aldred has its measure. Truin. Burke Gilroy. Joe Coletti just dropping between the two central defenders. Tony Popovic. And those weapons on the bench, particularly the wide players, Economides, Falami, Valupale.
Bonavacia through the middle,
yep.
If he's ready at all. I mean, it's a lot of firepower, isn't it?
Look at the space here for Zinedine Mashash. And Ruben Zakovic asking his team to readjust quickly. They might need to. It's a good challenge by Tom Aldred. And the chance is gone. Space is perhaps starting to open up on both sides. Coletti. Moved forward by Henry Hoare. Rolled out towards the right, and the cross. Did it bounce up onto the hand of Jelicic? Still with the raw player. Back post, goal! Marco Rojas at the double. Stooping to conquer in front of the Den. 2 now against his old club. The perfect delivery from Keegan Jelicic, and Brisbane lead once more.
Well, it's a very tidy finish on the far post from Marco Rojas. All the work done by Keegan Jelicic. I guess the VAR and the Harvey Norman replay will be just checking that there wasn't a hand used in the lead-up as he controlled the ball. This is the back end of this movement. And again, it's less than vigorous defending from Victory to try and block the cross. And on the far post, it's Marco Rojas really with a very comfortable little avenue at the back post to steer the ball in for what at the moment looks like Brisbane's second goal.
Well, all the Victory defenders were drawn towards the centre of the penalty area, and nobody much noticed Marco Rojas at the back stick. And there was plenty of precision in that header from the All Whites international. What a day he's had so far against his former employers. Double change coming up here for Brisbane. Joe Coletti, I fancy, and Florent Berenguer, the two to be replaced. Jay O'Shea and Nikola Milouznic are the two new introductions. Two very handy additions off the bench for Ruben Zatkovic. So Victory with it all to do once again. They've come from behind once. Can they do it in these very hot and humid conditions in Queensland? Jay O'Shea getting busy early on. Suggestion of a hand used by Arzani. He almost gave himself a headache. He twisted and turned so many times there, Arzani. Desperately trying to find space.
A good little spark provided in that sequence from Jay O'Shea. A very big return for Brisbane. And to have he and Florent Berenguer back ready for action is huge for the football club.
Not clearest of touches by Hingett. Here's the build-up to that goal. Ball just bounce up onto the arm. That's Victory we're claiming.
And on that evidence, we don't have enough to say no. But it does leave a big question, doesn't it? And without enough evidence to overturn, then fair enough. On you go.
Square by Chapman. De Silva. Guerrier. Brimmer's touch. Wires cross between he and Mashash. And Brisbane can carry it forward through Jay O'Shea. Not really where Rojas wanted the ball to be played. Ruben Zatkovic still getting through plenty of work in the technical zone. Arzani. Teague. And Traore. Beyond him is Khalifi. Further back, Chapman. Teague again. Wasn't really on that ball for Salim Khalifi. hour played at Suncorp. Daniel Elder not happy with something. Now we're good to go. Good stretch by Teague. Mashash shrugs off the attentions of O'Shea. He's a powerful customer, but that was a really powerful challenge by Hingett. And that release sets Brisbane away. Waddingham waiting in the middle. Good punch away by Isuzu. The follow-up there for Jelicic, but couldn't steady himself. And Traore gets it up towards Fornaroli. Big chance that for the Raw. And then a rugby challenge from Anthony Burke-Gilroy will earn him a yellow card.
Well, it's a great burst from Machash, and once bitten, twice shy. You think? Jack Hingett says, you're not getting past me a second time today. That was a good intervention from Paul Izzo. It's rather crude from Anthony Burke-Gilroy. Did the job.
Didn't leave too much to the imagination, did it? His second caution of the season. He's really made that left back spot his own in preference to Corey Brown. Victory yet to show in an attacking sense in the second stanza. Something they're going to have to change if they're to avoid back-to-back defeats for the first time this season. Brimmer. It's a good touch by Azadi. Went towards the near post. That deflection meant the ball looped up and favoured Jack Hingett. A little bit better from the Victory. Rojas. Square by Truin for Jay O'Shea. Just pings it out beautifully towards Rojas. Jay O'Shea. Looking to attack Traore. Little disguise pass for Hall. And it's a corner off De Silva.
It's a nice attack. Jay O'Shea showing all his quality there for Brisbane. With a lovely switch of play. And this is a nice little setup. Rojas just backpedaling, or making Jason Gerry a backpedal, creating that space as well, into which he drops the ball for the on-charging Henry Hoare. De Silva holds his nerve, importantly, at the near post. And Teague is down now in the 6-yard box.
So a groin problem as well for Ryan Teague. Doesn't look too comfortable at the moment. Looks as though Ruben Zankovic is readying another change. Eye on the jock. Stripped and ready for action behind him. There's Ryan Teague's vital statistics for today. Rolly Bonavacia being readied for his Victory debut as well by Tony Popovic. Perhaps as a replacement for the stricken Ryan Teague, who limps away behind that goal. Slightly hidden behind Ali Reza Fagani is the unmistakable figure of Rolly Bonavacia. He's just going to have to wait before this corner's taken. Driven in flat and nodded to the far side by Zinedine Mashash. Here's Hingett. And it might drop here for Marco Rojas. Squirmed away from him. High Truin trying to reset things. Hingett with the cross, up but not away by Arzani. Isuzu blasts it towards goal, might get a second bite at it. Victory still can't clear their lines. Down to 10, of course, just for the moment. Cross from O'Shea. Arzani not fully clear. Waddingham to retrieve it. It's Waddingham. Oh, and spilled by Izzo. Before Connor Chapman finally digs it out and puts it out for a throw.
That's a good bit of pressure from Brisbane.
So here is the return of Rolly Bonavancia, last sighted in a Western Sydney Wanderers jersey in 2019. Strangely enough, against Melbourne Victory. And we're also going to see the introduction of Ben Falami. Daniel Arzani gets his number called for the 18th time this season. There's that change for Brisbane. Marco Rojas, the two-goal hero today. Unable to get through the 90 minutes, of course. His first start for the club. And what a day it's been against his former employers. It's all set up nicely for 20 minutes or so of this game. Victory have got a chase. Falami quickly into the action, up against his fellow substitute Majok. Gets rid of him. Really, the 1-2 wasn't on.
Yeah, it's a great first start for the season for Marco Rojas. He's always been great to watch. Good yield of goals from him over the years, but rarely can I remember two with the head in one go. I remember him heading the ball twice in a game before, let alone scoring.
Little flick by Falami, and Forderoli appeals for handball, pretty strong ones too. Bonavancia had the follow-up shot. There might be more to come yet from Victory. And that's dragged wide, and now Victory will continue that conversation about handball.
Good control, shot on the turn.
Well, it might have struck the hand of Burke Gilroy, but it was tucked well into the body. I don't think this is going to be given as a penalty. Might have just hit him in the midriff.
Yeah, but I don't think there's enough there for a penalty.
But signs of life from Victory.
Yeah, it was a really sharp turn from Bruno. Bonavancia with a little bit of an injection for Melbourne Victory off the bench. The tepid nature of that ultimate shot on goal notwithstanding.
Ashash just rolling away from Jay O'Shea, so strong. Unfortunately, his pass is not accurate enough. And Freak can clear upfield. One in the air by Guerrier, but a loose ball will drop for Hall. Just get the sense, Harps, that the tempo is picked up, which, of course, from Victory's point of view, it has to.
Yeah, urgency might start to kick in for them.
Nice ball by O'Shea for Hingett. He'd continued his run. Talking to tidy players on the ball. Jay O'Shea has had more touches in the competition than any other player. Majok running with purpose on the angle towards the edge of the box. Up towards Forderoli it goes. You're not going to have the pace to beat all those defenders. He's looking for the foul.
Well, he had no support from Victory players.
Now it breaks here for Isuzu. Victory a little slow to get back in these trying conditions. Isuzu with the cutback, and a great save by Izzo, but a tap in for Tommy Waddingham. And that might just make the point safe for Brisbane Roar. Tommy Waddingham, his 6th of the season, 5 of which have now come in the last 4 matches. And with 20 minutes to go, is that the hammer blow for the Roar?
Well, the genesis for this goal comes from Melbourne Victory's inability to support Bruno Fornaroli on halfway, surrounded by 4 Brisbane players on the Harvey Norman replay. It then ends up with a little burst from Nikola Miljuznic, who squeezes the ball back to Keegan Jelicic. And his shot is only parried by Paul Izzo, and it's Tommy Waddingham on the spot to tap it home. You can't miss from there. And Brisbane are evidently eking out that advantage. They've got more go in them at the moment, and certainly evidenced by this 3rd goal. When you look at it in its entirety, this is the full stop on it. Mountain to climb now for victory.
Well, Izzo had to change direction. It's a good stop, but all he can do is just prevent the ball from going in and put it on a platter for the teen sensation, Tommy Waddingham, who now has 6 for the campaign. And a lot of his good work comes inside that penalty box. He's a real predator. Ruben Zakovic will be feeling a whole lot better about things roundabout now as they break for drinks.
Yeah, that's what I like about Waddingham, as a young Aussie coming through. So look at this from Bruno Fornaroli. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4 players. And there was enough time for at least one Victory player to break free. Zinedine Mashash was maybe 15 metres away when Bruno first got the ball. He didn't have anything left. No other players could break to support Bruno. He was swamped by the orange shirts. Did their job very well, credit to them. And maybe there is some evidence of this advantage that Brisbane should be enjoying. They're certainly enjoying the scoreline advantage at the moment.
And credit to Jay O'Shea for a wonderful release out to Miljuznic on the right. Let's go down to Amy Chapman. That will have improved Ruben Zakovic's mood, I fancy.
Yeah, absolutely. He loved that last one, and just prior to that, when he's injected a bit of fresh legs into this Brisbane Roar attack, he was demanding a bit more positivity. He didn't want his team to sit back with a 2-1 lead. He wanted that energy and he wanted that bravery, and they've had a lot of success down that right-hand side. First Jelicic, then Miljuznic, a wonderful release from Jay O'Shea, as you mentioned, but he's liking what he's seeing, and now he's all about let's control this game, let's see it out. They've got themselves in the hot seat now.
Thanks very much, Amy. Melbourne Victory have made a double change during the drinks break. Nishan Velupillay and Chris Economides have been introduced. Salim Khalifi is one of those who's had his number called. And Zinedine Mashash, the other scorer of Victory's lone goal so far today. It's a tough hill to climb now for Melbourne Victory in these sapping conditions. Driving run forward from Kai Truitt, of all people. Behind him is Jay O'Shea. Aldred. Cut out briefly by Velupillay. Mentioned that Brisbane had won just 2 of the last 12 A-League men's matches. Their last win, of course, was when they put Melbourne City to the sword by 5-1 here. And if they complete this victory today, it would take them to within 3 points of Western Sydney Wanderers in 6th. There are just a handful of games left to play in the regular campaign. Victory would stay in 4th. And freak out to use his head, literally. Jelicic. O'Shea. Again, that switch a little bit too far, but beautifully reeled in by Ayon Majok, using every inch of that tall frame. And then getting a little tangled up. It's still there for him. He ran down a bit of a blind alley, did Ayon Majok. The reach to bring the ball out of the sky was poetic.
Yeah, it's another good switch of play. That's just terrific work, really, from Majok. Full of confidence, you'd have imagined he might have been able to run this one to get a shot on the end, but he turned himself in knots ultimately.
He was a bit crazy legs crane there for a moment, wasn't he? Aldred. Slightly off balance, courtesy of the pressure applied by Nishan Velupillay. They have put themselves into a winning position here, Brisbane. They dare not let it slip. If their finals hopes are to remain realistic, they haven't been in the top 6 since round 9. This would put them within range. The 3 points here today.
Amy Chapman enjoying what she's seeing there on the sideline. Very engaged.
Yes. She's a Brisbane girl, of course.
Serving the game continually on a volunteer basis as well. Is Amy doing a great job in that role?
Does indeed. Jelicic. Now Miliusnic with a bit of space to attack. Inside him is Hingert. Low cross, not the best clearance either by De Silva. And Majok colliding into Palami. Free kick for victory. Talked a bit in the first half, perhaps it's going to be a foul, about Brisbane's season and how it perhaps haven't quite lived up to expectations. What about Melbourne victory as we head towards the home straight?
Well, so far you have to say it's disappointing. It's still full of promise. They've played some great stuff. I think they've got a good list of players. But their inability to score on the back of what's been a lot of good football, I think, is really weighing down on them. And it's going to take a big effort for them to shake that. They've got the formula to win games, certainly with the personnel they've got in place. And one of the league's best strikers in Bruno Fornaroli, which is generating a lot of discussion, of course. If he's not scoring, who is?
I mean, you look at the support cast, in theory, and on paper at least, there is plenty of goals in that team outside of Fornaroli.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, Mashash has got 6, but the rest just a couple or one.
Yeah, and it's just incrementally every week that comes and you attack, you create chances, you don't take those chances, and incrementally that builds week on week to the point now where it looks like it's a real burden for them. Now, how you break that, of course, is a key part of Tony Popovic's coaching as this season runs to its conclusion.
Well, we are in the period of the game where Brisbane tend to concede a lot of goals. They've copped 11 between minutes 76 and 90 this season. That's more than any other team. Really, it's difficult to remember victory laying a glove on Macklin Freak in the second half. Here's Bonavacia. And that one shot from Fornaroli that was blocked by Bert Gilroy. Half a shot for a penalty. Other than that, I'm struggling to recall any meaningful attack.
It has been slim pickings, and it has looked like Brisbane have just found more run in them in this second half. They've certainly found 2 goals, which has helped enormously.
Brought down nicely by Valupale here. Maybe they can conjure up something from this attack. Bonavazia, there was nobody outside, so he goes himself. It's not a bad try. It's a really good save by Macklin Freak. And Bonavazia was that close to getting a goal on debut for Melbourne Victory.
And his injection off the bench has provided a couple of sparks. This is the most notable. Well done by Macklin Freak to see it over the crossbar.
More of that, please, says Tony Popovic. Here's the corner from Brimmer. Seen out by Aldred. Finally, some work to do for Macklin Freak. Some good news for Victory. They do finish off the regular season with 4 home fixtures out of the last 5. So they bid to secure top 4 places, a bare minimum from this season. Jelicic upended. Another change here for Melbourne Victory. Fabian Monge to replace the tiring Jake Brimmer. His first start in a month. Zadkovic looking a lot more comfortable now than he was start of the second half. Falami. Guerrier gives it straight to Burke Gilroy. Jelicic leaves it for Hoare. Jock might have been offside, which is maybe why Hoare didn't play him in. Now he does. Jock just edged off it by Jason Guerrier. It's going to be a Brisbane corner, though.
Just got enough of a nibble from Jason Guerrier to win this corner.
Ball just glancing the bottom of Jason Guerrier's studs. Careful placement from Jay O'Shea. Plenty of flights. Aldred at the back post. Across the face it goes. Scooped out by Monge. Back in by Hingitz. Powerfully forward by De Silva. Brisbane sort things out all the way back to Freak. O'Shea. Sent long by the Irishman, Jay O'Shea. By the head of Damien De Silva. Turned back by Falami. De Silva. Traore. Still not too late for Victory to get something out of this game. Chapman square for Jason Guerrier. Monge leaves it for Traore. Guerrier once more. Bonavazia. Whole load of conviction about that cross, to be honest. O'Shea looking for the switch out of defence to find Majock. Without success. Valami. Victory pinch a goal here, it will be interesting. Malupale's cross dealt with by the Raw. A little bit more pressure being applied by Tony Popovic's team. Into the last 5 minutes at Suncorp. Long unbeaten run under serious threat away from home for Melbourne Victory. Malupale's a decent cutback, and here's a chance and a goal for Rolly Bonavazia. On debut, off the bench for Melbourne Victory. Game on at Suncorp, 3-2.
Well, it's a goal that comes on the back of Brisbane having to defend in their half for a few sequences of attack. On the Harvey Norman replay, it's a nice cutback. The air swing from Falame actually ends up helping Melbourne Victory, because their most likely attacking option at the moment off the bench has been Rolly Bonavazia on Victory debut. He forced a good save off Macklin Freak just moments ago, but the Brisbane goalkeeper can't get anywhere near this one to breathe life into the match. Still for Victory. They can do this.
Well, Rolly Bonavazia showing he's lost none of his attacking instincts. This is actually the third goal he scored during his career at Suncorp Stadium. Scored a couple here for the Wellington Phoenix in his earlier days. So, the game back in the balance. Brisbane have made a change, by the way. Jonas Markovski, who's on the ball here, has replaced Tommy Waddingham. So you're watching the replay of that goal. And Ruben Zankovic is back to biting his fingernails. Macklin Freak's got a problem for Brisbane. Needs some attention for Macklin Freak. Acton, of course, on the bench. Very experienced replacement as we look at the Paramount Plus player index marks for today. Marco Rojas since replaced, of course, but way out in front for his 2-goal contribution. Deacon Jelicic has been good, and Rolly Bonavazia only on the pitch in the second half. Sneaks into third place on the back of that goal. Thumbs up from the physio. Matt Acton hasn't even bothered getting out of his seat. There's that finish from Rolly Bonavazia. Clean contact and way too powerful for Macklin Freak. Just passed him before he could make the dive. Let's breathe new life into this game for Melbourne Victory. Still not much time left on the clock. The second of 2 fouls. Yellow card showed.
Well, what have Brisbane got as we approach the 90th minute, and the indication of how much stoppage time to be played? Done very well. A very dominant second half from Brisbane to get the 2-goal lead. More than a little bit of nervousness at the moment, I'd say, to sail this one safely to shore. But that depends largely on how well Victory can rouse themselves. How much have they got left in the tank? And for them, at this point, what does full power look like?
Cushion header by De Silva. Onimedes wins the bouncing ball. It's a really good win of the football by Jack Hingett.
Since Jack Hingert was pantsed by Zinedine Mashach for Victory's first goal, he's not missed a thing. Not missed a thing. He's been excellent at right fullback.
5 minutes to be added on. 5 minutes for Tony Popovic's side to save that long unbeaten run on the road, stretching to 10 matches.
I mean, we've got used to a lot of stoppage time. That's pretty skinny as things are going at the moment. We've had 2 keeper stoppages. The clock doesn't stop for the drinks break either, did it? Really skinny.
Fair few substitutions as well.
Yeah, a couple of goals. Really, really skinny.
I said at the outset of the second half that a draw would be the last thing Melbourne Victory wanted, given they've got 10 already this season, but they'd settled for it at this particular juncture. As it is, Victory staring down the barrel of back-to-back losses. Touch of cramp for Jack Hingert, which won't please the Victory. Tough afternoon for the 2 sets of players in very, very warm conditions. There's Victory fans who've travelled in good numbers again. Hopeful of a late turnaround. Going out of jail, of course, at home to Western United late on. Still a little bit of time, but not too much. This is Bert Gilroy, turning clear of danger. And the Jock's got away from Guerrier. Seen out by Fabian Monge. Those seconds are worth their weight in gold for Brisbane.
Well, nice work there on the Jock. It just gives too much time for Monge. He covers well for Victory, but really that was a great opportunity for the Jock to do something particularly special for Brisbane.
Goal kick for Victory. They know time is of the essence now. Isuzu to get the ball rolling. Traore spotted that little gap and went for it. Valupale. It's asking an awful lot of Damien De Silva, who's operating almost as a right winger at the moment. Well, he was the emergency striker that did the job against Western United. Needs must for Victory. Maybe to just lend a bit of physical presence alongside Fornaroli. Aerially at least.
Those 2 goals, you recall, against Western United came in the 95th and 97th minute. Well, strictly speaking, we're not going to get that sort of time for De Silva to work his magic today. It's got to be much sooner than that.
He's flicked the ball on here, though. Big chance for Victory, and Economides jabbed it towards goal. De Silva's won it back. And it's still alive for Melbourne Victory. No way through, though, for Bruno Fornaroli. And holding by Monge will relieve that little spell of pressure on Brisbane Roar. Just for a moment. It was a good flick on by De Silva, and it sat for Chris Economides. Brisbane got bodies in the way.
Scrambled, but a little bit fortunate when you look at the way Tom Aldred dropped and spread himself in the penalty area. His arm was outstretched. And it was a high-risk moment for Brisbane. But they're close now, Brisbane. Huge 3 points this will be for the Roar.
Well, this has got to be on this for Melbourne Victory. Wasn't the best goal kick from Isuzu. And Brisbane will probably just head for the corners if they can. O'Shea, always difficult to shrug off the ball. Monge doing his best. He's given the ball away, O'Shea. But it doesn't matter because the full-time whistle blows. And it is a much-needed win for Brisbane Roar, which closes the gap on the top six. Melbourne Victory's unbeaten away streak ends at 10 as they suffer back-to-back losses for the first time this season. And early promise starting to evaporate for Tony Popovic's side. They had to work hard for it in the end, Brisbane Roar, and probably over the course of the journey were good value for the 3 points. A double for Marco Rojas, one for Tommy Waddingham, Zinedine Mashash, and a goal on debut for victory for Rolly Bonaventure for Melbourne Victory, but too little, too late for the visitors. Full time at Suncorp, Brisbane Roar 3, Melbourne Victory 2.